Welcome to the WDW Reflections Podcast. Here, we'd love to talk about the Walt Disney World Resort, the way we remember it, how it's changed, and why we still enjoy visiting the most magical place on earth. So come with us on a podcast journey as we reflect on the WDW Reflections Podcast. So we came up with 5 questions that we want to ask every guest, and you are the first. So you're special to us. You will always be our first guest. So this is super cool. We're really happy to have you here, Trisha. So thank you. So the first question we want to ask is, what is your favorite Disney park? Oh, I know it's a hard one.
Okay, so I have to stick with Epcot, and the only reason I was hesitating a little bit to say Magic Kingdom was because the castle is stunning. But then I remembered the ball at night. Oh my gosh!
With the new beacons, or are you talking the beacons of light? Or are you talking about even before that?
With the beacons.
Okay. Yes.
I mean, you can't beat Magic Kingdom at night. I especially love it at Christmas. Like it's like there's nothing that's more like holidays than like Disney. But I mean, the castle was amazing. I mean, the castle's beacons are cool. The show is a little bit more specific and shorter. But the colors that they were able to put on this castle, I mean, it almost seems unreal. But the Epcot ball, I mean, every angle that you look at it, you see something different. As you walk away from it, you'll see shapes in it. And I'm like, it's Disney, so I know that that's there on purpose. Like, it's not just a happy accident. It is absolutely on purpose, because one of those show designers, there was one that was on the monorail and watched it from there. There was one that was like in the parking lot and looked at it from there. And they put that care into everything. But that, it's just beautiful. You could sit and watch it for an hour, and that show it's a little less like confined into a specific time. And it's like you'll look at it, you'll be in the park and you'll look, and all of a sudden it's like a completely different set of colors, and then another time you'll see it and it's a totally other set of colors, and it's beautiful. You want to talk about a park for food? Epcot, like, you can't beat it. I mean, we love the food. That's one of the things we really love about Disney. I have a book about food.
Yes.
And a lot of the places in the book are Epcot based, because I mean, where else could you go in 1.2 miles and try food from, 12
all over the world,
and good food, not theme park food, like good.
That's the part that I think people don't realize, the quality of the meals that you get at those places.
I actually just did a blog for WDW Magazine, 5 foodie facts about France Pavilion. And one of the things that's really interesting about France Pavilion is all the restaurants in France Pavilion are run by the Bocuse family. And Paul Bocuse was named Chef of the Century. This man was Michelin-starred French chef, was famous, and he passed away just a couple of years ago, and was like a longtime partner of Disney. So he did the restaurants in Epcot, and so they didn't skimp on, okay, we're gonna get this minor French chef guy that lives over in Key West or anything like that. No, like, they were French chefs from France, and one of the chefs that's there was a chef in a Paul Bocuse restaurant in France. His name is Chef Bruno, and he was called by Bocuse and said, he's like, hey, I have this job for you in America. I didn't tell him it was at a theme park. And back then Disney didn't have the culinary reputation it has now. And so here's this French chef, like, fully trained classic French chef, like, oh, I'm working in a theme park. And he has worked there since the day Epcot opened. And Chefs de France is one of the restaurants that's been in Epcot since it opened. And the food is amazing. I've been fortunate enough to travel to France, and the food in a lot of the areas in the France Pavilion is the level that you're going to get when you're in a Paris bistro and a restaurant. And it's really, really, I mean, I feel very fortunate. We were actually able to go to a Michelin-starred restaurant in Ypres, France. And if you go to Montreal, which is upstairs of Chefs de France, that food is like that par quality level.
So Epcot, you're saying Epcot for two reasons: Beacons of Light on Spaceship Earth and the amazing food, especially in World Showcase.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, and all the festivals. I mean, goodness, you could like eat for days at Epcot and not try the same thing.
Oh my gosh, the festivals. I mean, you're right. The Flower and Garden and Food and Wine and the Festival of the Arts. I mean, goodness gracious, Epcot. I'm with you. Epcot is my favorite. Has been since I was a kid. So, all right. So Trisha, the second question number 2. What's your favorite Disney attraction?
I always come back to Space Mountain. Want to talk about a ride that you feel like a kid again. Like, yeah. I don't know, but I just like laugh every time on that ride. I rode it on the first, which was really cool to like basically walked on it. The line was just how long it takes to get from the entrance to the.
That's incredible.
Because it is a lengthy queue. So that's the long walk, right?
And that was what was crazy. On the course of this trip, I walked on Soarin', rides that I've never been there in. There's not been a line. It was my first time waiting in line for Seven Dwarfs because the line was always, 75, 160 minutes. Yeah. So you're like, okay, I'm going to fast pass that because it's just, but I was like, this time I'm going to wait in line because I want to see these games, which of course none of them were really running because of the pandemic. But it was literally just kind of maybe 20 minutes it took to
wow.
Yeah, I mean, I've never seen Seven Dwarfs. I mean, Space Mountain was 5 minutes most of the day. Carousel of Progress, like the People Mover had a line, but I think it's just the People Mover line. When you've got people getting on it, there tends to be that little bit of the line, but it moved the whole time. So, but yeah, Space Mountain. I actually was there in the 90s. It's the first trip to Disney I remember, and Space Mountain was closed. And so we rode the People Mover and you could see Space Mountain and they had all the lights on because they were working on it. Mm-hmm. And I'm kind of glad I wasn't of any sort of like sound mind, like grown up mind at that point in time because I was just a teenager and just, teenager brain. But I think if I saw that now, I would never go on that ride because I do remember it just looking like a tangle, like it looked like a 3-year-old was like, this is my roller coaster.
All the metal.
Yeah, and all crazy wrapped up. So, but yeah, I did a trip where I didn't go on Space Mountain and I felt like something broke in me a little bit.
When you got home, you really regretted it?
Yeah. I chose Haunted Mansion. I was there for the Villains After Hours and I was like, I'm here for Villains After Hours. I gotta go on Haunted Mansion. And I didn't walk fast enough to make it to Space Mountain before it closed, but I was like, oh, it's so sad.
All right. Number 3. Who or what is your favorite Disney character?
See, that changes all the time.
I know that, and that's okay. What is it today? Who is your favorite Disney character today?
Can I have a Pixar one and a Disney one?
Sure. Yes. Okay. Yes. Sure. You're the guest. You make the rules.
I make the rules. Okay. So because I feel like Pixar characters so embody so much of Disney, but they're kind of almost their own breed. So we have a dog named Wally, so I have to go with Wally, and his name is spelled Wally, which my husband is like, no, it's not. And I'm like, yes, it is. Like I made his name tag. I took him to his first vet appointment. Yes, it is. But yes, so I would say on that end, Wally, because, Pixar, they make us fall in love with rats, robots, toys, like, they do such an amazing job suspending disbelief, right? And then on the Disney side, I struggle. I think, because I have had this long association with evil stepmothers because I'm a stepmother, but I try not to be evil. So I kind of have to go a little bit with Lady Tremaine. And just because, just that connection and her character is just so great. I don't think I fully appreciated like how amazing it is to unless you watch it as an adult, of just really like what all is going on with this character. Just even like the way that her daughters annoy the crap out of her is really funny.
Do they still wander the park? Are they still there on a regular basis?
So the stepsisters are, so Drusilla and Anastasia, they were doing like the distance meets in front of Princess Fairy Tale Hall, which is really funny because they obviously worked up the fact, like, look at where we are. But now that they're going to be opening that for, so I think Cinderella and Tiana, I think. So they're going to be opening that back up. So their usual meet and greet is like along kind of the castle wall, that wall that runs behind the carousel. So that's where their usual one is. So we'll kind of see where they end up. But they were like all over the place. They were on the balcony outside the castle at one point.
Oh, yeah.
There. And then Lady Tremaine is usually at 1900 Park Fair, which isn't back to character mail yet. So fingers crossed. But I did get to meet her, and I got a copy of my book signed by her. Like,
oh, fun.
That's
And for
fun.
those of you who may not be familiar with them, Cinderella Stepfamily, there are so many great videos of them on YouTube. They will have you laughing. I mean, my wife and I sit sometimes on Saturday nights and we go through some of these videos and just laugh hysterically at Cinderella Stepfamily.
Oh, well, when we went to, so when I did 1900 Park Fair, I was there with a friend, and she and I, neither one had ever done it. And it was hysterical because Anastasia loves to harass Prince Charming and would like yell stuff at him across the restaurant every time she saw him. And then they kept trying to find, if you had a boy with you, they would try to figure out if they could marry your son. And then my friend and I both have sons, but they were, 10 at the time, but they were like, it's okay. Like, well, I can wait a few years, like, how rich are you? They asked, they just, villains get to have more fun, and they definitely embody that.
You were literally the first person in human history to say Lady Tremaine is your favorite Disney character. That is absolutely hilarious.
It's just today because I'm kind of like I'm feeling her. I also just read the book Cold Hearted. It's a fiction series that has like different Disney characters, and they gave her backstory, and it was really, obviously a fictionalized backstory, but it was really fascinating. And they always say villains are incredibly complicated, right? She's incredibly complicated. And it was really kind of fascinating to hear this backstory of hers and like why she ended up how she ended up. And there were some interesting reasons.
Now, Trisha, I'm not judging you because my favorite Disney characters, I'm going to do the same thing you did with Pixar and Disney, traditional Disney. My favorite for Pixar, my favorite is Syndrome. And from The Incredibles, and my favorite Disney character is Jafar. So, like, I'm a villain guy too. I'm a Darth Vader guy. I'm always on the dark side. So I'm feeling your love of Lady Tremaine. I'm not judging you at all. But I was really look. You're so perky and enthusiastic and all smiley and stuff, and then you're like Lady Tremaine. And I was like, wow, that came out of nowhere. All right, that's awesome. All right, number 4, not to be a downer, but we did an episode about this a few weeks ago. So we just want to know what you say. What is your least favorite Disney attraction?
I'd probably have to say water rides, like in general. I'm categorizing them in general because I just don't like walking around in wet underwear. Like Florida's hot as it is, so it's already hard to be comfortable. I did Splash Mountain. I think I've ridden it twice, and I'm just like, I love the music, and I love, but then I'm like, but I have to get wet. Like, could I have like a non-wet version of Splash Mountain? I realized I was trying to think. I thought you guys might ask me like, what attraction or ride have I not done? And one of them is Cali River Rapids. As much as I think like it's cool looking, but I'm like, can I do it without getting wet? And the answer to that is no. So I'm like, well, I guess I'm gonna have to like go with a change of clothes or something at some
They
point.
give you a poncho. You can get a poncho.
Yeah,
and there's traditionally one person that just gets soaked.
Yeah.
And you would be that person.
Absolutely.
That was what happened to me on Splash Mountain. Like I was like, okay, don't really want to get wet. And I think one of my smart alecky kids was like, and like I was like, this is so yes. So I probably would say water rides because I feel like with all of them I can find some little element, whether it's the story or the music or the design. Like that's what I think with Cali River Rapids. And I love Splash Mountain, just the color that they're able, it really just is so immersive. But I'm very excited for it to be Princess and the Frog themed. I may make some enemies here, but I think that that's great. I think Tiana is an incredible princess. She is my favorite princess, and it's about dang time that she gets. I mean, Rapunzel's got toilets, but at least give her something, you know. So yeah.
All right. So question number 5. This is the last one of our guest questions. And this one might be hard because, you know, listening to your enthusiasm for Disney and your parks and love of everything, this one might be hard to pick just one. But what is your best Disney memory? If you could lock it down to one, I know it's hard.
That's so hard because I've been to Disney by myself. I've been to Disney with friends, which is super fun. My husband and I have been just the two of us, and so it was like a 5-day date, which was amazing. I've been with my kids, so I've seen, you know, kids have their first Mickey moment, which they're, you know, seeing your kid hug Mickey for the first time, like, come on, like that, you know, that's all the feels. Being there on the 50th, that last happily ever after, that first moment when the music first starts and the castle lights change, like, oh my goodness. My husband and I got married there, so I feel like
oh my gosh,
that's supposed to be my answer, right?
We'll see.
It's great. Like that was, but okay. So I'm gonna go with this one because it had like an attraction and like everybody. So when we were there in 2015, my parents were with us. We had all the kids, and all of us went on Expedition Everest for the first time together. And we did a fast pass. And so, you know, we kind of like sped through and rode the ride, and we all got off the ride and we all looked at each other and we were like, that was amazing. Do you want to go on it again? And like the standby line was only 20 minutes, and we all just ran together, all 11 of us, this like giant group of us were like, and all running to ride it the second time. And I think the reason I'm choosing that is one, because that is such a great attraction, and 11 people, huge differences in interests, huge differences in age, huge differences in you know what we love about Disney, and all 11 of us for that one moment were like, yes, this was so amazing, I want to do this together. And again, and if any of you have gone with big groups, you know, having everyone happy at one time is magical. So I think that one, because there was just so much excitement. And I remember was running over there with my stepdad, and we were just like, huh. and he doesn't usually do that many roller coasters either. So so it was great because like my parents with the grandkids and you know, we were with the kids, and it was just it was awesome. And we obviously have, you know, the ride photos from it and everything. So,
well, and you said something there that I think is so Disney, is that you can have some really, really special events that you get to do at Disney because you are somebody, or you know somebody, or whatever, right? But what's incredible about Disney, and I think why they are at one of the number one destinations, is because you don't have to know somebody. You don't have to do something special and create a memory that you'll have for a lifetime. And why people love Disney, and why we do podcasts, and why Disney is what it is.
Well, and Ron, to your point, you know, I know we've been talking a little bit about being there on October 1st, but I can tell you one of the magical moments of that trip was the first day I was there. I went into Epcot, and I came in from the Skyliner, and came in, you know, from International Gateway, so the backside of Epcot, and saw a PhotoPass photographer, the one that usually there's always somebody kind of on that bridge, so you've got that beautiful background of France. And I was wearing like a Ratatouille themed dress, and it was so funny because this PhotoPass photographer caught each other, and we just caught each other's eye, and I was like, are you free? And he's like, yes. I'm like, oh my gosh, because usually this person has this giant line, like sometimes it like wraps around the bridge. And I was like, this is perfect. And it was so funny because I felt like we just wanted to hug each other, because it was like, oh my gosh, I'm here. And he's like, guests are back and we're getting to do this again. And I've been during the pandemic, but you couldn't interact as much with cast members. That was the piece that I would think was the hardest thing to lose, was they are what make it unforgettable. No one can even touch Disney in terms of I think that piece of it, and that passion, and that just that moment of like feeling this like great connection with someone you've never met in your life, but you have this, interest in his excitement, and it literally, we even talked about it, like I'm so excited to be here, and he's like, we're so excited, everybody's here. Like it was, again, I was there during the pandemic, and I know there was a lot of excitement, when they first started to open, but it was open, and they had to do things so differently than what made Disney so special and unique. And I felt like that was the first time that I was there that they really got to be back in, and it felt like it kind of did before, but more so and amplified because we could appreciate it in a level that we didn't before. I think it's easy to take advantage of that kindness and that way that those cast members are when you've gone, and it's just kind of difficult to lose that for 18 months and then be able to be there and have that back, and just how incredible they are. That was just such a great moment.
To order a signed copy of one of Trisha's books, please reach out to her on Instagram at Not-So-Evil_Disney Stepmom. Her series is also available at Amazon.com. Listen to the complete show on your favorite podcast streamer. Follow us on social media at WDW Reflections Podcast. See you real soon.